If you're looking for the ultimate bolt-on brake upgrade for your 2019 to 2024 Ram 2500, then the PowerStop Z36 Extreme Truck and Tow Kit is exactly what you need. This is a full bolt-on front and rear brake rotor and pad kit that's going to provide your truck with plenty of additional stopping power. It's a great upgrade if you work your truck hard or just want to be extra sure you can stop safely no matter what you've got on board or behind you. It's really the ultimate upgrade to your brakes. It's going to tick all the right boxes for you. So whether you're hauling, towing, hitting trails, or just driving in traffic, this is a high quality kit that doesn't compromise and gives you everything you need to stop on a dime. This kit gives you essentially everything you need for a standard brake job. Starting with the rotors, these are of the drilled and slotted variety. The goal here is to dissipate more heat than your factory standard solid rotors. And in something that sees a lot of varied use, like a daily driver or a tow rig or whatever, like one of these heavy duty Rams might, especially if you're loaded down with lots of gear, the additional heat dissipation that these will give you will not go unnoticed. Heat is the enemy of braking performance, and having the slots and drilled holes here in the faces of the rotors gives that heat plenty of places from which to escape by channeling it off the face of the rotors, away from the pads, and through the central vanes. And if you've ever had brakes get hot on you, you know it's not a fun experience. However, rotors can only do so much without having good pads to back them up. And the brake pads in this kit are the other big key. The Z36 pads are made using PowerStop's own proprietary carbon fiber ceramic compound. Now these are designed for severe duty such as hauling or towing, hence their name, and they're going to be really good at dissipating heat just like the rotors, while also maintaining everyday drivability. However, unlike a lot of other performance pads, these don't compromise that everyday usability, so they don't make a ton of noise or a ton of brake dust when you're just driving normally, and they're going to perform great when you really need them to. In fact, PowerStop claims that these are nearly dust-free. No brake pad is entirely dust-free due to the nature of how they work, but these are a super low dust formula that's going to keep your wheels a lot cleaner. And there's virtually no compromise in performance or feel with these either. The pads are thermal scorched for a faster break-in, and they feature stainless steel shims on the back for excellent heat dissipation and nearly silent operation. You've also got these chamfered edges and a slot down the center too to keep that noise at bay. And when I say that these don't compromise, I mean that entirely. I like doing the videos on these Z36 kits because I run a set of these brakes on my own truck, and my own truck is not one that's known for having good brakes from the factory. So I can tell you from first-hand experience in both daily driving and towing situations, these have been everything PowerStop claims. My wheels stay clean, they operate nearly silently, and the thing stops on an absolute dime. The rotors are made using G3000 metallurgy, so that means that this has a higher percentage of carbon in the metal itself. While they are still cast iron at their core, having that additional carbon in there, like the vanes, the holes, and the slots in the faces of the rotors, that composition is going to be extremely helpful in dissipating heat. The rotors also feature a silver zinc plating, which is going to help prevent rust and corrosion, so they'll look good and perform well for a long time. The pads again utilize PowerStop's proprietary carbon fiber ceramic compound. Again, excellent heat dissipation, consistent performance with feel, low dust, and those stainless steel shims on the back make for quiet operation. PowerStop also includes all new premium stainless steel hardware in the kit, and short of brake lines or calipers, this is going to give you everything you need for a total brake overhaul, and it's really high quality stuff as well. You get new stainless steel hardware and high temp lubricant included in the kit too. Pricing comes in at about $950, and while that is not what you might call cheap, it is actually one of the more affordable front and rear kits available with drilled and slotted rotors for these trucks. These are big brakes and they're good brakes, neither of which come cheap. And this is not a place that you want to skimp if your truck sees a lot of usage, or really if you're using it for anything that it's intended to do. It's worth reiterating, there's been a lot of research and development put into these rotors and pads, and it comes with everything you need to get this done and vastly improve the braking performance on your truck. Like I mentioned earlier, there's a few places on my own vehicles in which I believe it's worth spending the big bucks. And again, I run Z36s on my own truck, and they've been everything PowerStop claims and more. So in both daily driving and towing situations, it's definitely worth it to grab a set of these if you've got the room in your budget. Installation comes in at a 2 out of 3 on our difficulty meter, and installing this kit is definitely a job you can accomplish at home. Expect it to take you around 4 hours or so to complete, and even if you haven't done brakes before, this is a pretty straightforward job. It's definitely something you can accomplish at home if you're willing to spend the time. Not much more I can say about it here, so with that, let's head on out to the shop and we'll walk you through the process step by step.
For this install, you will need various ratchets, 16, 22, and 24 millimeter sockets, a caliper hanger tool, needle nose pliers, angle cutters, a flathead screwdriver, caliper compressor tool, a breaker bar, and a dead blow mallet. Also not shown here is the jack and jack stands. What's up folks, today we're going to be doing some brakes on our Ram, so let's get started. Alright, so we've got our truck in the air and we've got the wheels off, and we're going to start back here in the rear, and the first thing we need to do is remove the two 16mm bolts holding our caliper to the bracket. So we've got our 16mm socket on our ratchet, and we'll get back there and crack those loose and get them off. Alright, so we'll start cracking these loose. We're going to start with our bottom one. You don't have to start with the bottom one, but now before you fully remove whichever bolt you start with, you want to crack the other one loose, because if not, you're going to have swinging of your caliper, and you want to keep that in as a retainer. Now we can pull our caliper off of our bracket. Now sometimes these do tend to get a little stuck onto the pads and bracket. So what you can do if you're running into a little bit of an issue is you can grab a flathead screwdriver or a small pry bar, get in between your caliper and bracket, just gently pry that out. Once you have it started, you should be able to wiggle it right off. Now you want to always support your caliper. We've got a caliper hanger tool. I'm going to send that up and actually just hook that on our spring. Just want to make sure your brake line doesn't get kinked in any places. That should hold it in place. Now that we've got our caliper out of the way, the next thing we need to do is remove the pads from our bracket. I'm just going to simply wiggle those out of their seats. Same thing for the inside one. We can set these aside. Now that we have our pads off, we need to remove our caliper bracket, and that's held on by these two 22mm bolts. Now if you've never taken these off before, they usually have a good amount of Loctite on them, so you may need a breaker bar to get them loose. So we've got our 22mm socket on our breaker bar. Get that one loose. Once they start to turn, you don't need your breaker bar anymore. Now that we have these broke loose, we'll grab our regular ratchet and 22mm socket. We'll run these out. Now you can move your caliper around if you need more room. Run these out by hand. We have those off. We'll pull our caliper bracket off and set it aside. So now it's time to remove our rotor, and from the factory these are held on by these little copper retainer washers, and we're going to need to remove those to get them off. So we've got two of those here, and we've got a flathead screwdriver and a soft mallet, and they have some slots that we're going to tap into. You don't want to drive directly into your stud, you don't want to mess up your threads. We're going to try to get our flathead on one of the little lips there and just tap it until it starts to come loose. You'll see it start to spin, and you should be able to get it to come off your rotor a bit. And you can work it. Now don't worry if you have to completely destroy one of these. They're only for production purposes, holding rotors in place going down the line. There's no need to put them back on. They're not going to serve any purpose other than that. So if you do have to cut them off with some snips or something, that's totally fine. Once we've got that one off, we'll take the other one off as well. Sometimes the hardest part is getting it to start moving. So we've got ours free from the front of the rotor, however it's still not turning, so we've got some needle nose pliers. I'm going to work it off that way. You want to be careful because these are kind of thin and sharp, so you don't want to cut your fingers. Next, we can remove our rotor. So we're just going to grab it firmly, work it off our hub. We can set it aside. All right, guys, so now we're going to move up to the front and disassemble this. So we've got our caliper hanger tool preemptively hung there. We've got a 16mm socket again, just like the rear caliper. It's held on by two 16mm bolts. So we'll pop these off as well. And again, once you loosen one, don't fully remove it until you get the other one loose. Now that we've got our bolts off, pull our front caliper. Now you do have an ABS line hooked to your brake line on this one. What you can do, just held in by a little retainer, and pop that middle one off. That'll allow you to hang this up out of the way. Next, we're going to remove our pads. Just pop those out of their seats like so, and set them aside. Now that we have our pads off, we can remove our bracket. So these have two 24mm bolts holding them on. And again, they are pretty tight from factory. So we've got a 24mm socket and our breaker bar. We've also got some, like a grease coating on them. At least this bottom one does. Might make it a little bit hard to get your socket on at first. We're gonna break this loose. Break our top one loose. Once you break them loose, you should be able to run them off by hand. Take your bracket off and set it aside. All right, so now in order to remove our rotor, we've got 4 of these little retainer clips on our lug studs holding our rotor in place. These are simply for production matters going down the line. They hold the rotors on while everything's being assembled. They do not need to be reinstalled. So we're gonna take these off. Some of them might even already be broken. So if so, you can grab some needle nose pliers, get in there and just pop these off, like so. If you're able to. Now if you can't get them with needle nose, you can grab a hammer or a dead blow and a small, or thin rather, flathead screwdriver. Just start tapping this until it runs along your lug stud. You don't want to hit directly on your stud, but if you can get these moving, they'll follow the threads out. Now, if you do find you're having a hard time, you can grab a pair of snips, and if you can get behind it with needle nose, you can get your snips in there and cut it off. So we'll do that for these now. So we'll use our flathead back here to get a little bit more of a lip. We'll grab our angle cutters and get in, cutting this. Sometimes these are pretty stubborn. Then you can do the same thing for your remaining retainer clips. And once we have those off, we can remove our rotor. Just slides off. Now that you have this side off, you can do the same thing for the other side. So now we can get ready to install our new rotor. Now one thing I want to point out is, yes, ours does look pretty brand new, but doing this at home, more than likely your brakes are already going to be worn out, and you're going to have a lot of brake dust and everything back here inside your park and brake drum. You want to take a minute and clean that out, get it all nice and fresh before you install your new rotor. And then once you have that done, we'll slide this onto our hub. Make sure that fully seats. Then we can begin installing our bracket. So before we install our bracket, you do want to inspect your pad retainer clips. If they do look worn out or rusty, your new pads will come with a new set. You can just pop those right off. And to set those on, you want to match up for the rear, the outer retainer spring. You just pop your new one right into place. You want to make sure that seat's fully inside of there. And then you can do the same thing for the other ones, remembering that the springs go to the outside of the bracket. Now we can get our caliper bracket back in place. So we'll line that up with the 2 mounting holes and reinstall our factory bolts. Get your first one in, get your second one in place, and we'll come back and tighten these down. All right, so now that we have both of our bolts in, we'll grab our 22mm socket on our ratchet and tighten these back down. Then you may have to move your caliper to gain access to your top bolt. Next, we can install our new pads. So the ears are just going to line up into the seats. Just kind of wedge that first one in. I'm going to make sure it gets in between that spring and the bottom retainer. Begin to work that in place. And you want to do the same thing for your top ear. These can be a little finicky at first. Once they go in, they should seat nicely. And we'll do the same thing for the outer pad. Now before we reinstall our caliper, we're going to need to compress our pistons in. So we've got our caliper compressor tool. You want to hook that into your caliper like so. And once again, ours are pretty much new, so they're not going to need to go far. We want to compress that all the way. We can release that. We can set our caliper back into place. And once you have one lined up, you can reinstall your caliper mounting bolts. Get the other one in as well. Now we can tighten these two back down with our 16 mil socket. All right, so now we're ready to install our front rotor. Now, these are labeled in this kit for which side. So we're gonna match that up. We are on the front driver's side. Make sure that seats fully. Now, having taken those clips off and them breaking, if you want this to sit square from making for a little bit of an easier install of your caliper and pads, we're gonna grab ourselves one of our lug nuts and run that on. That'll keep this much more level. But again, once the caliper and everything's on, this will sit square, and then your wheel obviously holds it in place. So before we reinstall our caliper bracket, we're gonna replace our pad clips, and the factory ones will just pop right out like so. But you wanna match up the new ones, so you're gonna have a little bit of an outturn on the outer retainer. You wanna make sure that is to the outside of your bracket so it doesn't interfere with your rotor. You just push those on. It can be a little bit tough to get these to seat properly on the first go. But you just want to pop those in, make sure they seat fully. You can do the same thing for the rest of your clips. Now that we have our clips in place, we'll reinstall our caliper bracket. We're going to reuse our factory hardware. Set this in place. Get our bolts started. We'll run these down hand tight first. Next, we can grab our 24 millimeter socket and tighten these down. So now we're going to install our pads. Start with our inner one. You want to make sure those ears line up into place. This can be a little bit tricky at first. Now we'll do the same thing for our outer pad. Outer pad's always going to be a little bit easier. You can actually see what's going on. So now that we have our pads on, just like the rear, we're going to need to compress our caliper to make room for the new pads. We've got our caliper compressor tool. Hook that in. Again, ours are new, so we really don't need to go far. We want to make sure they're all the way in. Now we'll install our caliper. Slide that over our pads. Get it lined back up with our sliders. While supporting it, reinstall our 16 millimeter mounting bolts. Now we'll grab our 16 millimeter socket and tighten these back down. Once you have those tight, reinstall that ABS line into its clip. And once you have everything back in place, you can tighten down your hardware to the manufacturer recommended torque spec and repeat this same process on the other side. Alrighty folks, that about wraps up our review and install of our PowerStop Z36 Extreme Truck and Tow 8-lug brake and pad kit for your front and rear of your 19 to current Ram 2500. Thanks for watching, and as always, for everything Ram, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.